the players that he ended up drafting, I just did like a minute of no microphone on YouTube, but it's all right. No, people are probably like, this guy is talking and I can't even hear him. And I'm like, oh, somebody called me an R word. I can't say it because it blocked me, but it's all good. But I'll just block him because that works out too. But anyways, yeah, sometimes I forget to turn on my microphone because I get started talking, but it's all good. Now you can hear me, but now he can't hear me because he's not here no more. That's the way it works. I get to control what I want because if you want to talk crap, I just get rid of you. Hey, but how is it looking on Instagram Live? I just turned the mic on. How is it looking? I just tried it for the first time over there. I don't know if it's actually working or not on Instagram. So I'm just trying everything for the new time, trying to get it ready for the off season because people are asking me, can you make longer content videos instead of just making 1 minute videos so you can hear the whole thing? So I'm trying it. So if you're on Instagram Live, let me know how it looks and how it feels. But you should be able to hear me now. Spytek, going back to what General Manager Spytek, like if you look at the success that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had in the last couple of years, especially last year at the running back position with Bucky Irving, gotta love it. Who else they got? Kate Otten, Yaya, the defensive end. There's a lot of good young talent in Tampa Bay, and then you go and listen to what he says about big bodies, and you start putting in your mind of what the Raiders would be able to do at number 6 this year, and it kind of makes sense. Like you would think, Pete Carroll with the general manager who loves big guys going after defense. I don't know, like. And then you're still wondering about the quarterback position. I'm not too worried about the quarterback position now that we have an established head coach like Pete Carroll, somebody that can get the best out of their players, somebody that should be able to talk and get their players motivated and play a little bit above what they're expected and what you expect out of them. But you got that's what I'm saying. Like Spytek is the guy. You got the first time general manager, and can he be? How aggressive is he going to be in the draft? That's what I want to see. I want to see an aggressive GM finally in the draft. Somebody that can move up and down the draft board. Use the draft board to your advantage and acquire extra picks in the draft and into next year. Like if you feel that you could drop a couple spots and pick up another pick. Let's do that. Let's see the Raiders actually move up and down the draft board, which would be unbelievable. Pete Carroll is 73 years old, but the guy has been around. And somebody put a graphic up yesterday. I don't know who. I want to love to give the credit to whoever did that, but I don't know who put it up there. But somebody put the graphic up of the Pete Carroll in the last 14 years has the same amount of wins or more wins than the Raiders have with all their coaches combined. And Pete Carroll in the last 14 seasons that he coached has been to the playoffs 10 of those 14 seasons. I'll take that. Even if the Raiders next year win 8 games, that is a very good improvement and a good building block for the Raiders. Hey, somebody just said Pete Carroll hasn't made it past the second round since 2015. Shit. The Raiders haven't made it past the second round since 2002. So I'll take making it to the first round and worry about the second round later. Like, we just have to get on the winning track. Like, we have to start winning instead of going backwards every single year. And this is what Pete Carroll brings in. Now, somebody said, do you think the Raiders will run the ball more with Pete Carroll? Yes, I do. The good thing is the NFL draft is full of running backs this season. A lot of good young college running backs coming out. Depending on what you like, you might like a different a style of running back, but there is a ton of running backs coming out. My favorite one's out of North Carolina. Hampton would be my favorite one. But depending on who you like, you can go. Same thing with quarterbacks. Do the Raiders reach on a quarterback in the first round? That's my only problem with Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders is they are good quarterbacks coming in that are going to have to learn. But do I feel that they're worth taking in the top 5? No, because if they were going in last year's draft, they wouldn't even be close to the 6 that went last year. So that's my issue. But the Raiders will have to draft for need, and if they feel that that's who they're going to take at number 6, I'm good for it. But me personally, I would rather go Mason Graham at the defensive tackle position, Will Johnson, wide receiver McMillan. Get somebody there that we know that can come in and worry about filling the quarterback position later on. Now, a lot of Raider fans love Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart, who I talked about, I said once Jackson Dart gets into the draft process and goes to the combine and goes to his pro day and he does all that, first rounder right off the bat. You just have to figure out where he's going in the first round, because once he gets in front of the scouts and everybody else and the coaches, you're going to be able to do it. I sound like the Cowboys. Well, Cowboy fans are going to have a tough year. Did you see who they hired as their head coach? Gotta love it. But looking at what Pete Carroll did in Seattle in his last year, let's just go off of his last year, right? Just his last year alone, a down year, which caused a lot of people, which caused his outright. That was the first year without Russell Wilson in there. The first year with Geno coming in. They went 9-8 in that season for Pete Carroll. They finished third in the division, but his defense took that step back, and his offense took a giant step back. But they were building for the future. Like, Pete Carroll didn't leave Seattle in a bad spot. That year, if you remember, 2 rookie offensive tackles for the Seattle Seahawks that year. And Pete Carroll was like, I'm going to draft 2 offensive tackles, and they're going to grow together and become a staple for this franchise. They had a lot of they have a rookie running back. They had a lot of young guys on that team, and they still was able to pull them out to 9-8. Somebody said free agency will be the key of any free agent quarterbacks that I like. I like Justin Fields. That is who I like, but I'm not reliant on Justin Fields. If Pete Carroll feels that he can get a little bit out of Russell Wilson, I'm not too excited about it, but I'll take it. But what I want to see out of the Raiders is I want to see them bring in multiple choices at the quarterback position. So if you're going to bring in Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Sam Darnold, if you're going to bring in one of those, I also want to see you draft one. And you won't have to draft one early, but draft one in the draft, and let's get multiple. Thank you. I look hotter on YouTube. Thank you. I appreciate that. But bring in multiple options for you at the quarterback position, because we don't want to be limited like we were last year. And I talked about it yesterday when I was talking about Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll won't give a damn how much money they spend on somebody or what draft status you were. If you were a first-round pick, second-round pick, he don't give a damn. He will play the best player at that position. If you are the best person that he deems for the team, he'll put you in there. He'll put you in there. Somebody's saying draft Milroe in the second round. If you do that, that allows him. If you do draft him and you have a veteran quarterback, it works out even better, right? Because we all know that we've heard what Tom Brady has said about rookie quarterbacks, right? That the NFL has dumbed down playbooks for rookie quarterbacks and taken them down because of how much the offseason we've taken away from the players in nowadays, in the new days, right? That we've taken it away. And we want to see. So Tom Brady said that we have to dumb it down. So Tom Brady would be for resting the player or having the player learn from a veteran and going forward. And that would be the best option for the Raiders, because let's be honest, the Raiders don't have a great roster. I saw somebody today that actually pointed it out and said the Raiders don't have one of the best rosters. And then, you know how us Raider fans, we get pissed off. When anytime somebody talks about the Raiders, we're like, hey, screw you, man. Like, no, we do have a good roster. No, when we actually break it down, we don't have a good roster. There's a lot of rebuilding that the Raiders have to do. And that's the good thing about Pete Carroll. And when I read about Spytek, it should be the good thing about John Spytek, is that they're going to identify the positions that we need and identify the players that fit here and are going to be here for a long time. Now, did Tom Telesco bring in some good players last year? Oh, hell yeah. Like Brock Bowers, going to be there for a while. JPJ should be here for a while. DJ Glaze should be a great tackle, right, for us. So at least we have 3 young guys right there off the bat that should be able to go for another couple of years with us. Now we have to find a running back, a quarterback, a wide receiver, some defensive help. And this is where I think Pete Carroll's respect and just look at today of how many people on Twitter. If you have Twitter or X, I'm sorry, go on X and just look how many people have shouted out the hire about Pete Carroll. Even Seattle Seahawks congratulated Pete Carroll on his move to the Las Vegas Raiders. Witherspoon, Devin Witherspoon, he put it on there. He announced it that the Raiders hired him. Like, the respect that players have for Pete Carroll around the league is going to carry. And we talked about how Washington did their turnaround last year. And people were saying we could do that with Ben Johnson. No, if you want a Washington-type turnaround, which is very hard to do, let's put that out there. Not every team can do a Washington-type turnaround. But if you want a Washington-type turnaround, this is the hire that you do. You bring in a veteran head coach, Washington did, that's been to the Super Bowl like Washington did, and then you start to bring in veterans that you have the connections with, what Dan Quinn did on the defensive side of the ball with Bobby Wagner and the other guys that are there. And then you get a quarterback and you bring in good NFL assistants that want to come work for you, that know what Pete Carroll's about and know how to teach the game. This is a very good hire for the Raiders, and it's very hard for us Raider fans to take it in because, one, we're just looking at, his age. He's not going to be around for much longer. But we're not looking at what the foundation that he can build for us here and what he is going to stack on top of it and get us going in that winning direction. And that's what you got to love about this hire, and that's what I love about the hire. People will say, well, didn't you fight for AP last year? Well, if you watch my page, you know that I'm a positive player. You know I'm a positive team-first guy, and until I'm not. Until you piss me off, I'm not. Last year, I brought it up. I said Raiders need to have a hiring, need to go out there and interview people, but you already knew who the Raiders were going to hire. What pisses me off the most is the Raiders could have had Pete Carroll last year. Like, we could have had Pete Carroll as our head coach if they would have done a real head coaching search last season. But we all knew where we were going because, let's be honest, our players stepped up and wanted AP. The fans stepped up and wanted AP, and they just kind of bypassed everybody. Remember, who'd they bring in? Leslie Frazier to satisfy the Rooney Rule when we all knew who was going to get hired. So we didn't have a real coaching hire last year. And look how that turned out. We all hoped and dreamed that, hey, maybe somebody with inspiration could talk us into winning. It didn't happen. Now we finally have somebody that's going to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk and look at them. Somebody's saying AP is probably the worst decision we ever made. It probably might go down on it as one of the worst decisions in Raider history. Yes, it might. It'd probably be up there. Like, do I blame AP for the move for what he did last season? No, I don't, because what AP did for us in the offseason last year was amazing. He transitioned us from the horrible Josh McDaniels and that era to Raider fans being excited again, and then it didn't work out. I mean, we were shitty on the field. AP was horrible on some of his coaching decisions, but I kind of want to be like, hey, at least he got us over the McDaniels thing, and he brought Raider fans back and got the energy going. It just didn't work out. I mean, it's kind of like when you first get in that relationship and it's hot and heavy for 6 months, and then all of a sudden it's not what you thought and you guys break up. So that's what it is. Somebody says thoughts on Justin Fields. I love Justin Fields. I would love to have Justin Fields on the Raiders. I thought he did a great job for the Steelers last year, and I think the Steelers messed up by pivoting to Russell Wilson and having him play the rest of the time. But yes, I would take Justin Fields. I said I would took Justin Fields last year, and that would be another move that would piss me off too, because we could have had Pete Carroll last year, and we could have had Justin Fields last year, and then we get them both this year. That would be insane if we do it, but we can't. I mean, it sucks because we always have to look back at the past and try to fix the future, and that's what's going to happen. But it's just what I can't do it because I'm not one of those guys that look at the draft and go, we could have had Jaden Daniels last year. No, this is who we ended up with. Like, we have to continue to build and not go back to the past and just, hey, if Justin Fields is what's good for us now, that's what's good for us now. And we have to continue to move forward. Yeah, so Louis just said, it is what it is. And that's the main thing that we have. It's hard as a Raider fan because everything that we do, we see the past in it, right? When I talk about Max Crosby and I talk about the cryptic messages that he's been posting it on, and then Max Crosby's like, those messages don't mean nothing. We think too much into those messages. Well, shit, Max. Like, we just had Josh Jacobs do it. We just had Devontae Adams do those cryptic messages. So, of course, we're going to look in the past and be like, oh, here we go. We got another player doing this. So it's just hard as a Raider fan to sit here and not read into stuff and not want to get our hopes up and not believe in something that's being built because we've seen it before. We've been there before. And Jeff, you're 100%. He said we couldn't get Daniel because DC was not going to trade the pick. 100%. Well, there was no way the Raiders were moving up. And did you hear anybody cry about winning meaningless games with AP the year that he took over? No, but we won meaningless games. Let me tell you something about meaningless games. Every game in the NFL is meaningless unless you win the Super Bowl. That's just my opinion. The last game, the Super Bowl, if you win that game, you won the only game that actually matters. Other than that, you're fighting for a draft pick. Other than that, you ruined your draft pick. So every team that doesn't win the Super Bowl ruined their draft pick status for the upcoming year. That's just my opinion. But if you look, I've talked about this before, where the Raiders were locked in. A lot of us Raider fans were locked in on quarterback, getting the number one pick, getting locked in. But now when you're actually looking at this draft, when we don't have the number one pick, we have the number 6 pick, and you're actually looking at the draft prospects in this draft, you're actually going, holy crap, there's some good players that the Raiders can bring in, and at number 6, that could affect this team, or one of those quarterbacks still could fall. If you saw Daniel Jeremiah, I love Daniel Jeremiah. I love watching him on the NFL Network. I like his breakdowns. Daniel Jeremiah came out with his first mock draft of the season, and guess who he had the Raiders taking at number 6? Sanders. He had Sanders falling. So it all depends on how the top draft pick goes, how the draft goes, because Carter is a very good defensive tackle that a lot of teams are going to have a hard time passing on. Mason Graham is going to be a very hard player for people to pass on. Hey, Jay says I yap too much. Well, check it out, Jay. Nobody makes you watch, but I appreciate you showing up. Should the Raiders trade for Derek Carr? No, but why not? Like, I guess if you can get Derek Carr for cheap, why not? But that would satisfy the veteran that I would want at the quarterback position, right? Because Derek Carr isn't the answer. He wouldn't be the answer coming in. But you would need a veteran quarterback. Would Derek Carr be just as good as Sam Darnold? Yes. Would Derek Carr be better than Justin Fields? Maybe. But like I said, I want a veteran quarterback, I want a rookie quarterback, and then I want AOC. I want all three of them to compete for the Raiders head coaching job. Or not head coaching job, for the Raiders quarterback job. So that's what you do at the quarterback position. You're going to bring in multiple players at that position. There was a report out there, and people are saying, Sam Darnold was on my airplane today. He was on my airplane going to Las Vegas. Okay, does that mean anything? Like, are we supposed to get excited that Sam Darnold was on an airplane to Las Vegas in January in the offseason? I'm not getting excited about that because Las Vegas is a destination that everybody wants to go to. Now somebody compared it to Kirk Cousins when he was a free agent with Washington. He took an airplane and flew to Minneapolis in around this time and was looking at homes and stuff like that, he kind of knew where he was going. That's different. Minneapolis, Minnesota, who the hell gets on an airplane going, we're going to Minnesota? That's where you go, oh, crap, maybe he is looking up. But people go to Vegas every day just to have fun, to watch the shows, to gamble, to do whatever the hell they want to do in Vegas. Maybe go to like Jimmy G and go to one of the houses. But you got to have fun. You got to have fun with these rumors that are out there, and you got to take them lightly and just go with them and not think that every single player is going to go to Las Vegas. But somebody just said nobody wants to go to Vegas. John Gruden said it a couple years ago, and John Gruden was 100% correct. Everybody wants to be a Raider. When you put on the silver and black, everybody wants this uniform. Everybody looks better in the silver and black, and there's not one player out there or one coach out there that will tell you different. Everybody wants to wear it. There's a story or a video out there of John Gruden talking about when Jerry Rice first put on the Raider uniform, and he first looked at himself in the mirror and was just basically like checking himself out, like, oh my God. Jerry Rice knew that he looked good because he wasn't wearing that ugly ass red from San Francisco anymore. He had that silver and black. And shit, you know why I like silver and black? It makes my fat ass look slim too. I'm like, damn. Sometimes I put on a Raider shirt and I'm like, damn, who's that? I'm just kidding with you guys, but how about Mahomes? Does he look better in silver and black? He would. He wouldn't look like a never mind. I was going to say a bad word, but TikTok might block me for that one. But yeah, he probably would look better. He wouldn't cry as much, I'll tell you that. I've answered the quarterback position like 100 times in this podcast. Like I've told you, I'll say it again one more time for you if you haven't heard it. The Raiders need to do multiple things at the quarterback position. They need to bring in a veteran, which is either Sam Darnold, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson. I don't give a damn. And they need to draft one. And that they need to bring in those three and have them compete with AOC, and the winner takes it. Because Pete Carroll, like I said, Pete Carroll won't give a damn if you spent $40 million on Sam Darnold or you wasted a first-round pick on Sanders. He will go with whoever is the best guy at that position, regardless of the status, regardless of where they came in or how much you spent on them. And that's what you got to love about Pete Carroll. And that's what I think the Raiders had an issue with last year, is everybody knew that Gardner Minshew shouldn't have been the starter to start the season. The only ones that didn't know were the people in the damn building, right? The people with the Raiders. I don't know who they were listening to, but AOC should have started the season. And that's where you should have let the young guy play. And if it didn't work out, then you went to Minshew. But then we look back and we can say, what if all this? Either way, it wouldn't have helped the team. We still would have sucked the rest of the damn season. And that was it. Just Raiders, baby. What's up? I finally did a show. I'm going to try to do longer content. It's just trying to get the time to do it. Like, most of the time I'm working a lot, and it's just hard it's easy to make a 1-minute video than it is to make a 20, 30-minute video. But yeah, John Spytek is a great hire. Raider fans should be more excited about this hire. Exactly, Compa's on the beat. That right there, guys. Compa's on the beat. If you don't follow them, you need to follow them. That's Gilbert Manzano. He's an NFL writer. He follows all the teams. You got Fernando Ramirez, who is a Chargers beat writer, so you can boo him all you want. That's those guys, that's what I'm saying about the Pete Carroll and the John Spytek hire, is people around the NFL are loving it, are praising it, which means we finally did something good. And like I said on a video, it's not about it's working out. It's about making the smart moves and the calculations that will get us going that way. If you make enough smart moves, they're gonna override the bad moves, and your team's gonna go in that winning direction. Now, let me ask who the coordinators are. I don't know who Pete Carroll is gonna bring in as coordinator. I would love a young offensive mind, offensive coordinator. Bobby Slowick, who just got fired from Houston. Why not bring him in? Houston kind of screwed Bobby Slowick out because Bobby Slowick's offense is ran just like the 49ers with a fullback. And you know what they did in Houston? They got rid of the fullback and they went with the third wide receiver and was like, hey, Bobby Slowick, do something else. And it kind of messed him up. I would love Josh McCown, the former Raider quarterback, right? Bring him in there. I would love for him to do it. Clint Kubiak, he comes from the San Francisco offense as well, went to New Orleans, did his thing down there. I would like one of these guys. One of the names that's been out there is Bevel from Miami. He's coming from Miami. He was Pete Carroll's offensive coordinator for years, right, in Seattle. Trying to think of how many years he was up there, but I know there was a couple years. But Pete Carroll is pretty good at bringing in young coaches. Dave Canales, the head coach of Carolina, guess where he worked for? Pete Carroll. Dan Quinn, guess where he worked for? Guess who drafted Aaron Glenn, who just became the Jets head coach? Pete Carroll. So Copa's on the beat is saying Spytek was one of the guys who helped hire the last two offensive coordinators in Tampa. And look at where both of those guys are. Dave Canales and Liam Cohen, both now head coaches on their respective teams. Steve Wilks would be a great. I thought about Steve Wilks, but with Steve Wilks, he brings problems. He likes to fight, and he likes to. His issue with San Francisco is Steve Wilks has his scheme, and he will run that. And San Francisco wanted to run 4 defensive linemen, and Steve Wilks wasn't about it. When Steve Wilks was in Carolina, he basically called out the organization. So do you want to bring the Steve Wilks in? And yes, he does run a good defense, but he also brings a lot of issues with him that you kind of want to be like, I'm good, Steve. Like, why can't you just coach and be just shut up and coach? No, that's not a good thing to say, but it is a good thing. Like when you don't want issues, especially with the Raiders organization that is turning around and trying to go in the winning direction. You don't want to bring in the distractions. That you want everybody 100% on the same page. You want Pete Carroll is going to get all his coaches to buy in, and you don't want anything else to distract you from that. Now, will the Raiders get DK? I don't know. I don't know if the Raiders have a chance of getting DK. Well, it depends because Raider fans want the Raiders to draft or trade for Geno Smith. Will Geno Smith come over and trade for him? If Geno Smith comes over, does DK really want to work with Geno Smith after going backwards last year with him? I don't know. So that there's a lot of questions out there. And did Pete Carroll have a good relationship with DK? I'm sure he did. I'm not going to go out there and say he didn't. But it just depends on if the price of what the Raiders want to give up and what Seattle wants in return. There's a lot of question marks about it. But Seattle does need to cut some money, so there is a chance that they do trade some of these guys. KJ Wright, former Raider running linebacker and linebacker for Seattle, could he come over and be on our coaching staff? Yeah, I think he's in San Francisco right now being a coach, right? Or somewhere. That would be nice to bring him over. So it's just there's a lot of question marks out there. But the thing about Pete Carroll is he's going to bring that established culture and get us moving in the right direction. And this is what I keep preaching on it. But you gotta love this move. Like, holy crap. And Pete Carroll has to be able to identify a successor for him. Because yes, he's 73 years old. He'll be 74 when the season starts. He knows, and the Raiders know, that he doesn't have 10 years in him, right? He has 3, maybe 4, maybe 5. But he has to have somebody that can succeed him and carry on what he's building here in the Raiders organization, and that's what you got. Didn't you love AP? I love every Raider head coach, and I love every Raider player until I don't. I'll tell you that right now. Did I want the Raiders to hire AP last year? You can go back and watch my videos and tell me what I said. Once the Raiders did hire it, I will back you all at 100%. That's just the way I am. If you want me to give you the negatives about the organization, that's not me. I will go out when they start to underperform. I will tell you what it is, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you and be negative about this move when we're just starting it. Why? if I want to be negative about my own team, like if you're a Raider fan and you're saying, "Oh, we hired Pete Carroll, we fucking suck. Oh, this sucks." Why root for the damn team then? Why root for the team? Let's just be honest. Why root for a team if you're always going to be negative about them? Sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes things don't work out. Did I want AP? No, but everybody wanted AP. And that was where we were going. So you were backing that move no matter what. That's where we were going. Did I want Josh McDaniels? Fuck no. Fuck no. But did I back it? Yes, because that's the move that the Raiders want. And in the end of the day, we want to succeed. It's kind of like when your daughter brings over that punk that you don't want her dating, but it's your daughter, so you're gonna just make her do the decision, and she's gonna learn from it and learn from the mistake, and you just be there when it crashes down, right? That's what's gonna happen. Did I want John Gruden 2.0? No, I didn't want John Gruden 2.0, but it kind of worked out just a little bit until he wanted to send some emails out, right? So it's just what it is out there. Now just get a new quarterback, yeah. But this takes a little bit of pressure off the quarterback position with Pete Carroll, like I said, because Pete is going to be able to get you going. Yeah, this is way different. Yeah, somebody just said this is way different than McDaniels' hire. This is way different than praising. This is way different than praising AP. This is an established head coach that has proven it and has done it. We all knew and this is why I said when Raider fans were like, if you go back and watch a lot of my videos, I said if the Raiders move on from AP, they need an established head coach like Pete Carroll, like Mike McCarthy, and I was pushing for Pete Carroll since the beginning. Everybody pivoted to Ben Johnson, and I was saying no because Ben Johnson is a brand new head coach who will have to learn, and we don't know what he's been. And when you get to Vegas, when you talk about Vegas, Vegas is it's a party city, right? It's a party city, like it or not. There's a lot of distractions that can happen in Vegas. When you have a head coach like Pete Carroll that has been there, done that at every single level, nothing can rattle him. When we get into the season, and we're working on the offense, and he's getting the offense going, he's getting the defense going, whatever, and we're looking good, and all the beat writers are saying all these great things about the Raiders. The Raiders' offense is looking good. They finally have a quarterback. And then we get into the regular season, and the Raiders are going. But then we have that off-field trouble. Then Pete Carroll has to deal with. He can deal with it because he's done it before. He's been there. Where a brand new head coach like Ben Johnson would be like, oh, shit, I was just trying to get the offense on. Now I got this player doing this, and I'm pulled 300 different ways. This is what I like about an established head coach, that Pete Carroll will be able to be in place when shit hits the fan and be able to work on it and get it going and not be distraction and keep the distractions outside. That's exactly what I love about it. Anyways, why am I talking so damn much? I've been talking for a long time. What are your thoughts on keeping AOC? I've talked about it before. I don't mind keeping AOC but like I said, if he beats out everybody that the Raiders bring in. Now, if AOC is the starting quarterback next year for the Raiders, it is because he beat out a rookie and a veteran that they brought in. That is the only reason that AOC should be the starting quarterback for the Raiders next season. If he is the starting quarterback, it's because he beat everybody else out. Do I think that AOC will beat everybody else out? No, because even though he showed a little bit of improvement each and every time on the field, he's not there. He still makes those horrible decisions and turns the ball over when we don't need it. And Pete Carroll is going to stress on that. Pete Carroll is going to stress on not turning the damn ball over. And one thing that we're not used to seeing for the last couple of years as the Raiders is our defense is going to be focused on taking the ball away, slapping the ball out of the runner's hand, getting the ball back for our offense. And that's something that we've been last in the league for in a long time. Even with as good as you guys want to praise Patrick Graham, one thing with the Patrick Graham defense that we've had is we haven't been able to get turnovers. Turnovers win games, guys. Like we talked about it, more teams lose games than they win games. More teams fumble the ball, make interceptions, make horrible plays that lose their game. And they're probably the best team on the field. But when you're turning the ball over and you're making dumb mental mistakes, why do you think the Kansas City Chiefs are able to sit there and beat people, even though they have their offense isn't that good this year? Because they don't turn the ball over. They don't make the dumb mistakes. They're coached very well. And this is what you're going to love about every AFC West matchup this year. Every AFC West team has a good coach. No matter how much we talk, like it was crazy because I was talking about Harbaugh all last year changing his diapers. Now we got a coach, we got to change the diaper up. But you're going to have to bring your A game to every single AFC West game this year because no longer will the Raiders be outcoached when they get into the game. No longer will we get into halftime and be like, well, we didn't have a big enough lead at halftime. We ain't going to go nowhere because now we know the Raiders will be able to make those adjustments at halftime and compete for 4 freaking quarters. And that's where we haven't seen it in 3 years, right? We haven't seen the Raiders 3 years, 4 years compete for all 4 quarters. Maybe a game here, maybe a game there. We've seen it. But for all 4 quarters, hell no. When's the last time we've seen that? Like, even when the Raiders beat the Baltimore Ravens this year, you know how many quarters they went out there and balled out for? 1, the 4th quarter. And they won it. They were able to pull it off. I'll give it to them. But imagine if you were able to put 4 damn good quarters together. You could win a lot more games out there. And the Raiders were what? We won 4 games this year. Maybe they could have won 7. I don't know. The young team, bunch of injuries. We had just as many injuries on the Raiders that the Detroit Lions had. So I'm not going to sit here and blame injuries as a reason of why the Raiders didn't win because if the Lions, well, I'm going to tell you right now, the NFC, the NFC is like the XFL of the league, right? The NFC, like people are talking about, we went 10-7 in the NFC. Yeah, that's equivalent to 6 and 6-12 or whatever, 6-11 in the AFC. So come on, I'm not really worried about the NFC teams. Any word on Malcolm Kuntz? I have not read anything on Malcolm Kuntz. It'd be interesting to see how much Malcolm Kuntz is going to want in the offseason, how much money he would want because he didn't play last year. But if you go off of what he did the last 8 games of the season before, I mean, he was one of the best defensive linemen on there. So I would love to see him come back. I know a lot of people don't like Tyree, but I think he improved a lot more this year. I know it's hard to watch Jalen Carter, and it's crazy because Mo Morton, the Raiders beat writer, and I had a Twitter exchange the other day, and we both thought the same thing. We understand why the Raiders didn't draft Jalen Carter that year. Like, we understand that with the Henry Ruggs thing, you couldn't do that. But we both were like, well, where the hell was Christian Gonzalez on that draft board? Why didn't the Raiders take Christian Gonzalez over Wilson? But it is what it is. Like, that was one of the things. Can we get Graham back? I mean, I think Graham overshot his market. I think he thought he was going to get a head coaching job. In reality, most of them were just using him to help with the Rooney Rule, and I think that's what Jacksonville did. Jacksonville kept the Lee and Cohen thing quiet just to get Patrick Graham in there to interview him to satisfy the Rooney Rule. But I don't know. Patrick Graham would now go through multiple head coaches in the Raiders. Would he want to do that again? I think it's better if the Raiders move on from Patrick Graham. Just me personally, like if they want to bring up Rob Leonard and make him the defensive coordinator, that would be cool. If they want to bring in Gus Bradley back, I'm okay with Gus Bradley coming back. Some people won't. I'm okay with that. Rex Ryan, I think, would be another great one, Jeff. It just depends on who the Raiders have or what kind of defense they want to run. Now, Everybody says Pete Carroll is running a cover 3. He kind of more went to a Vic Fangio defense towards the last couple of years of his in Seattle. So he's able to adjust, and that's a good thing with a veteran coach like Pete Carroll, is he's going to be able to adjust with who they bring in. Somebody said, anyone have the injury report for the refs on tomorrow's games for the Buffalo Bills? I don't know. That we'll see how many penalties go the Chiefs' way tomorrow. That's gonna be interesting. Max Crosby. I know a lot of people a lot of people jump at me whenever I put a Max Crosby video up, but let me tell you this: there's a reason Max Crosby is out there on every TV show this year, doing every interview, making his podcast bigger. And he's not talking about the coaching hire anymore. Max Crosby knows he fucked up last year. He knows that he backed AP and it didn't work out. So he's kind of like, oh, shit, maybe I'll let the front office do the front office thing. Now, should the Raiders, if they want to have Max Crosby, should they incorporate him? But like, hey, Max, what do you think about Pete Carroll? What do you think about this? Yeah, they should a little bit. But his say shouldn't have a lot of merit on what's going to happen. Now, Max Crosby has said, and you can say what you want, you can say I'm making this shit up. I'm not. Go look at what Max Crosby has said. He has said himself that his contract does not have any more guaranteed money. And if you watch the NFL, if you know anything about the NFL, what do players care about? Guaranteed money. This is guaranteed money is what makes it. And people will be like, well, Max is signed with the Raiders till 2006. That don't mean damn. That don't mean a damn. That don't mean one damn thing. Max Crosby wants guaranteed money, and if the Raiders give him the guaranteed money, then I think he stays. But if the Raiders go, hey, you've been injured for the last 2 seasons, we don't really want to give you that kind of money, even though you deserve it. We love you, Max, but we think that you're worth this much because it might be an injury. Then they trade him. I would think they trade him. And can you get a good package back for Max Crosby? Oh, I think you can. But do I think that Max Crosby 100% wants to leave the Raiders? No. I think Max Crosby wants to see this through. I think there's something about being on a losing team like the Raiders are, right? And being able to be there during the bad times and be the one that turns around. That's what Derek Carr wanted to do. There's a lot of people with that mindset to be like, I want to be the one that has the credit for turning this franchise around. Do I think that Max Crosby wants that credit? 100%. Do I think Max Crosby wants to leave the Las Vegas Raiders? No, I do not say that. I'm not putting it out there that he wants to leave. But do I think Max Crosby is going to ask John Spytek for more money, more guaranteed money? Yes. Now what John Spytek and Pete Carroll does with that information or does with that afterwards, that's on them. If the Raiders move on from Max Crosby, this would be the time to do it, right? Your new coach, new regime, nobody owes anybody anything. You just go ahead and do it, and you take the draft picks and you build towards the future. And yes, Raider fans will be fucking pissed. We'll be fucking furious because a lot of us just bought brand new jerseys, right? A lot of us have brand new Max Crosby jerseys that we just gave our kids for Christmas. And this is the one bad thing that sucks about buying NFL jerseys that are players of nowadays is you have to deal with it when they're gone. But anyways, guys, just my little rant, my little time on here. I'm trying to do more. Like I said, I have it hooked up on TikTok. I don't know how Instagram turned out. I have it hooked up on YouTube. Trying to do a little bit more if I get more time to do long form videos, but this is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, somebody mentioned the Make the Raiders Great Against hat. I kind of go back and forth with it, but my goal is to one day not wear this hat anymore, and because the Raiders will be back to their winning days. So that is what I'm hoping for. Will it? I don't know. But I think Pete Carroll, John Spytek, Tom Brady are the right moves for us moving forward, and I love it. And I'm excited. I'm excited about this season, and we'll see what happens. But before I leave, let's just everybody, wherever you're at, if you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram, if you're on YouTube, just put it in there. Go Raiders. Put it in there. Put it in that chat because you already know you got to be pumped up. While we got to watch the Chiefs hopefully get their ass kicked by the Bills tomorrow. That was what we're hoping for, is the Bills to beat them, because let's be honest, whoever wins that game tomorrow, whoever wins that AFC Championship game is the one that moves on to and wins the Super Bowl. Like the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl. Like it is what it is, and we don't want to see the Chiefs three-peat. Hey, but the next two Super Bowls after this are on the West Coast in California, so the Raiders can win it in San Francisco. I think it's in SoFi again. So let's bring it back, guys. That's right. A lot of Raider fans throwing it out there. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody who turned in and watched this, and I appreciate everybody's opinions. And that's the good thing about it, and that's what I love about the Raider Nation. That's the passion that each and every fan has. And we might not all agree, but the passion for it, and like I said, we don't agree on everything, but we all have that same goal in mind. We all have that same goal, and that's to get the Raiders to win again. We just want to see we're tired of watching losing teams each and every week. We just want to win some. So that's it. I appreciate everybody who turned in. You guys have a great day.